Recording. Cool. So another week, another demo, and today we are going to take a look at how to set up your scraper so it can upload data to the cloud, not only tabular data, but also images. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen because basically what I'm going to do during probably the first 30 minutes of the demo will be setting up everything. So let's get to it. Cool. I'm simply on the AWS homepage. Now, if you click on sign in, or you haven't, by the way, just create an AWS account. They will ask you for your credit card or your debit card, but don't worry because everything that I'm going to show you here will be on the free tier list. In my case, I already have an account, root user, go with my account. Now we are going to fill this captcha. Sweet. Okay, so basically I'm just going to show you two different things, two different services, S3 buckets and RDS. S3 buckets are basically but they are basically for storing any type of data, images, scripts, zip files, anything you want. Basically, it will be like having Google Cloud, basically OneDrive, some sort of storage. And then we also have RDS, which stands for Relational Database Service. So let's take a look first at how to set up RDS. Okay, it's taking a lot of time, but here we are. Now, simply click here on Create Database. By the way, before I continue, relational database services is basically consists of an SQL database on the cloud. So if you haven't gone through SQL, don't worry because that's actually quite easy. And today we are not going to see SQL commands or how to navigate through SQL. If you want to go through some SQL content, we can always go through it on a Q&A session. For now, I'm just going to create a regular database, an RDS. And let me make sure that, all right, US East. And now I'm going to select PostgreSQL, just a version below 13. I will just go with 12. And just go with the free tier because, as I always say, I'm broke and I don't want to spend my money. And okay, so let's change the name of this. Instead of database one, I'm just going to call it March. So March test, like that. Just leave this username as it is. If you want to change it, that's all right, but this is the default one. So if you leave it like this, probably you're not going to forget it. Now let's put a password. I'm going to use my password here. First of all, just like that. Just leave it like that. Now I'm going to click here on public access, just in case I want to use this database, or I want to share this database with you, for example. I'm just going to click on public access. And now here, additional configuration, just make sure that you are on the port 5432. What else? Yeah, that should do it. And password authentication. That's it. Create database. And just like that, we have already set up that database, that RDS. While this is loading, I'm going to create the S3 bucket. Before I continue, any question about the RDS? Doesn't have to be like something specific about RDS. You can ask me anything about SQL or pgadmin.
So Ivan, I saw you chose Postgre. Why in
Yes.
particular have you chosen that and not the other options?
Oh, well, yeah, that's a fair question. I usually go with Postgre because that's basically the language I know on SQL. But if you're familiar with other languages on SQL, just go with them. Um, in the course, we teach, or at least we show you how to use PostgreSQL. The rest of the languages are very similar, but usually everything that we use, the language and the software or the tool that we are going to use to manage the databases, which is pgadmin, are based on PostgreSQL. But if for any reason you know MySQL or any other language, just go with that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Zoom is just bugging me. Come on, stop Zoom. There you go. All right. Yeah, as I was mentioning. Well, sorry. Any other question? Cool. Case. Let's create the S3 bucket. Okay, I have a lot of S3 buckets. Probably you have seen me already creating one, but just in case you haven't seen it, just going to create one. You will see that it's incredibly easy. Click here on create bucket, give a name. Once again, I'm just going to call it March. Well, I'm going to change the name just in case someone thinks that I have to put the same name for both. So March bucket test, and try to remember this AWS region. And the rest is going to be the same. I'm just going to make this public for now. Well, let's just block the public access. We can change that later. And yep, now we're ready to use the bucket. But before we use the bucket, we need to create an IAM user. IAM. Basically, the IAM user will have access to different resources on our AWS account. I'm just going to give any sort of privileges in the sense that they can use anything from the bucket. They can upload things, they can download things, they can delete the bucket. And since I am the only one that is going to use it, I'm not worried about it. But if you're going to share for some reason these resources, make sure that you change the policies of the user. So for example, I'm just going to add a user here. Let's say March test user. And here, click on access key, programmatic access. Then click on permissions. We can just go with a template. They are quite easy to use. And just by selecting administrator access, we are granting permission for anything. Next tags, don't worry about the tags now. Well, sorry, as I was mentioning here, you can take a look at what the user can do. For some reason, it's not, yeah, there we go. So for example, if we want to only give access to, I don't know, to S3 buckets, we can take a look here, S3, S3 here, and just take a look at all the policies that we can add to that user. But in this case, I'm just going to give all the access to it, to the user. So administrator access. Now, don't worry about the tags. This is something that you can use eventually if you are going to have a lot of users, but probably this is going to be one of your first. Review it and create. Good. Be careful here because you are only going to be able to see this once unless you download this CSV file. Just going to download it just in case. I close this window. And let's see if the RDS it's already up and running. Not yet, still loading. But well, at least we have the endpoint, which is something that we have to use now. So we can use pgadmin to manage our databases, but I'm going to show you something that I think it's much easier to use because you are going to deal with with SQL Alchemy and probably with PsychoPG too. So instead of moving around VS Code and pgadmin in two different windows, I'm going to show you. Well, in my case, I have everything set up to access it quickly. But if you want to only use one tool, you can go to VS Code, go to extensions, and here look for RDS or sorry, SQL, sorry. And one of my favorites, which was dang it, I uninstalled it today just to show you this, and I forgot the name of it. Good thing is that I have here my laptop in which I have the same extension that I'm looking for. I swear my memory is like really old. God, my SQL. Sorry, it should be my SQL. Let me just check that out. Okay, yeah. So it should be, sorry, once again. There we go. This one or this one? Oh, this two, I think. My SQL. Yes, I think it was my SQL. Not quite sure though. Well, let's try that out. I'm going to install both because those are the two ones that I have here installed in my laptop, and I know they work. Yeah, one of those two. Sorry about it. I should have checked before uninstall that extension. Cool. So let's take a look at that. It should be this one, database here. And now let's create a new one, connect. And here, sorry, it was, let me recap that very quickly. Probably I'm going to trim this part out of the video so I don't confuse you. So once again, you have to download MySQL, and then you will see this this icon here on the left hand side. It will be database. Once you are in database, you can click here to create a new connection. And for that connection, you can just look for the server type that you want to use. In our case, we want to go with PostgreSQL. And here we have different options that we can use. So for example, it could be host. I mean, we have to set the host, username, password, database. So let's do that. In this case, we have oops, sorry. That always happens because I forget that pgadmin is actually on the browser. Okay, so endpoint, we are going to copy the endpoint and we're going to paste that on host. Then the port is the same one we just used earlier. We set earlier, which is 4532. Username is going to be Postgres, which is the one that I mentioned you that will be the default one. Now database, it was March test. It was March test, right? Sorry, my memory is really bad. Cool. So now we have the password, username, database, and if everything went well, I should be able to connect. Okay. I'm wondering if I made some sort of mistake here for Postgres March test. Oh, sorry. I think actually the database should be Postgres as well. And connect. Okay. What am I missing? Let me just check the security groups. Maybe I forgot to put all port, edit inbound traffic. Huh. Okay. Should be Postgres custom. I'm just going to put anywhere, save rules. If this works, let me just see if this works. And if that works, we'll just tell you what's going on here. I always forget one of the steps, but I will eventually get to the right position. So match test. Oops, Postgres. All right, sorry about that. So, yeah. Now let me recap. I need to do a lot of trimming on this video, but we're there. So basically, what happened here is that when we had the RDS here, I forgot to add one rule for the security group. But in case you forgot to put a security group as I did, you can just go here to connectivity and security, then click on default or the one that you have assigned to that RDS, and here on inbound rules, just click on edit. You have to make sure that the port 5432 is enabled. And to do so, you can just click here and look for PostgreSQL, and then you can just put anywhere if you want to connect to the database from anywhere, or if you are sure that you are going to only connect to that database from your computer, you can just click on my IP address. But in this case, we know that it's going to work, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And regardless of the name you put on your database, you need to put Postgres, because that's the default name for the database. It's usually the maintenance database that they put. Now you can add tables to it. You can add more connections on this extension. For example, I can create a new, here I can create a new table. Sorry, I can create a new table here. That's not one. New database. Oh yeah, sorry, I can create a new database. That's actually what I wanted to do, and simply create the database here. But I'm just going to use the Postgres one. I'm just going to use this one here, and probably the public one, for example. So I'm going to connect to this public from SQL Alchemy, just to start sending the data to this database. Cool. Any question? Sorry about the confusion.
And what about S3?
Yeah, we are going to get that to that point now.
Okay, sorry, but
cool. Yeah, no worries.
I was just going to ask, at which point do you, when you're creating the RDS, do you put that security group rule on?
Yeah, there should be a point that I completely missed. Let me check that again. So I'm just going to start creating a new one. I'm not going to actually create it. I'm just going to see the options. PostgreSQL. Let's go with 12.6 free tier database, DB instance, and should be I think it should be here. Oh, here it is. So you have to create one beforehand and then select it here, or you can just create new one from here and give it a name. But yeah, still you will need to configure like the security group, the inbound rules after you create it. So you can either create the security group beforehand, or you can create it here and then edit those inbound rules.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing, no worries. All right, more questions? Cool. Let's go now with the, oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, came in
Yeah,
really
no
late
worries.
there. So you've created an RDS database. This obviously doesn't talk to your code at all as yet.
Not yet, not yet.
I'll shut up and that will come on later, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, for now, what I'm going to do, probably I should have explained that at the beginning, but basically what I'm going to do is set everything up. Then I'm going to modify a little bit the zoo plus scraper just to be able to upload things to this RDS and to the S3 bucket. And then we are just going to test that this will work fine, and you can test that on your own computer. But yeah, anything you want to cover? Yeah, any specific concept that you want to cover, Pete?
No, not really. I have mine hooked up to RDS and stuff, and I got it writing to it. So I'm just going to be pulling data down now. So I'm interested to see how you do reads from and SQL queries too and stuff. Is that outside the scope of what we're doing today?
No, well, I mean, what I'm going to do is going to download all the data. Well, not all the data, just some samples, put that into a dictionary. From the dictionary, I'm going to put that in a data frame, in a pandas data frame. From the pandas data frame, we can just call this method to SQL. So it will just move that table to the table that we have in this RDS. So sure. I'm not sure if that will be enough.
Yeah, no, mine is the other way. Once it's in RDS, task 3 on milestone 7 says prevent rescraping by checking the remote database to see if you've already scraped stuff. So I want to pull stuff the other way as well. So, okay. But that's cool. I understand that that's later.
Yeah. We also go through that. We still have like 55 minutes today, so that should be enough time, unless, as always, I speak too much.
Okay.
So I talk to myself. But I'll try to cover. No, I'll try to cover as much as possible today. So hopefully tomorrow you'll have to wait for another demo to see the whole thing.
I'll be busy in the background. That's fine. You carry on.
Cool. All right, but yeah, if at any point you want to discuss something like additional features or how to implement them, just interrupt me and let me know what you're interested on. Cool. So let's go with the S3 bucket. Now remember that we downloaded here. Oh, there's something blocking. Can you guys see like a black box here, or is it just me?
Yeah, see it.
Oh, I don't know what's going on, but well. All right, so yeah, remember that we downloaded the credentials here for using the S3 bucket. Just going to keep that open. And now you can do this on the terminal, or you can do that actually from the code. You can set your credentials for AWS on your Python code. In this case, I usually go with the terminal. Let me just clear this. Let me zoom in a little bit. Oh, not that much. AWS configure. And here is going to ask us about the AWS access key ID, which is something that we should have here. So testnet access key. Yeah, access key. Dang it. I don't know how to use this CSV reader.
I think you just have to press OK, and then it will open it up in like a file.
Oh, really?
Which you can copy from.
Can you believe it's the first time I use it? Well, it's not opening yet, so I'm just going to. I think I have this open somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, you'll have this information on this page or on the CSV file you downloaded. So just copy that, paste it here, and it's going to ask you also about the access key, which can be found here. Control-C and Control-V. Now, remember that we set a region for a bucket. I think it was US US 1, but sorry, US East 1, but let me check that just in case. So S3. March packet test US 1. US East 1. So yeah, that's the one that I already have. You can leave this blank or you can write JSON. That's up to you. It's not going to affect what we want to do now. Okay, that's it. We are ready to use the S3 bucket. Before that, we need to we need to install a package called Boto3. Cool. In my case, it's already downloaded. So yeah, we're ready to start using S3 buckets and we are ready to start using the RDS. So what I'm going to do now is basically create a dictionary, upload that dictionary to the RDS bucket, and then I'm sorry to the RDS. Then I'm going to get any file. I'm also going to upload that to the S3 bucket just to test that everything works fine. And as soon as we know that everything works fine, I'm just going to modify a little bit the scraper class. So it implements a couple of methods, one for uploading information to the RDS and another one to upload images to the S3 bucket. So any question before I start coding here?
Yeah, just one question,
Mm-hmm.
simple
Yep,
question.
go
So
ahead.
why are we using the region name as US East 1?
That's up to you. You can use any region you want. You can just change here. Sorry, in my case, I'm using US East 1, but here you can choose any of them.
Is it gonna affect anything?
Not really. Not really. As far as I know, might affect maybe if you are going to select something that, depending on the server, it might be a little bit faster or a little bit slower, but overall it shouldn't affect.
All right. And what is Boto3 like?
Yeah, Boto3 is going to be the library that will allow us to connect Python with the AWS resources.
All right. Thank you.
No worries. Good. All right, so speaking of Boto3, let's import it. And today I'm just going to leave Copilot do all the job. So S3 is going to be 3 resource S3. And let's see, I'm going to try and, well, sorry, actually I don't like S3 as a name. I'm going to call it client. Client, let's see, Boto3 client S3. Now client, it's going to upload one file. The first argument is going to be the file that we want to upload. Remember that test IPYNB is in this directory. So I don't know, I'm just going to upload this file pkl. Don't worry about its content. pkl. And the second argument is going to be the name of the bucket. Let me check that, because as I've been saying a lot today, my memory is really bad. And boom, there we go. And the third argument is going to be the name that we want to give once we upload it. So just going to call it test pkl. If everything went fine, no error should be shown. And let me just explain very quickly what's going on here. When you use Boto3, what this library is going to do behind the scenes is going to take a look at your configuration. Do you remember when I did AWS configure? Well, that actually what that actually is doing is going through the home directory, and it wrote a new folder or a new directory called AWS, but it's hidden. Now, if we take a look inside, we can see that there's config and credentials. So for example, let's take a look at what config look like. Config And basically that's what it contains. It contains the information about the region and the output we want the output we want to use when we receive some data. Now we take a look at credentials. Same thing. We have the credentials that we have just provided right now. So when we go with Boto3 and we are trying to call to define the client object, basically what Boto3 is doing behind the scenes is taking a look at this directory, so home.aws, and inside it will just try to find config and credentials, and with those credentials it will be able to communicate with the AWS resources.
Can I ask a quick question, Ivan? When we put this on an EC2 instance,
yep,
and get it running, that .aws isn't going to exist, is it?
Yeah, it's going to exist. I mean, if you configure in your in your EC2 instance, if you configure your credentials as we did here, you will also have access to it.
Okay, so can the Docker?
Yeah. Yep.
Does the Docker contain that information when we set it up, or do I need to configure it like per machine?
That's a very good question, actually, because there are a lot of ways to tackle that problem. When you create the Docker container, you can also set some environment variables. Some of those environment variables will be your credentials. You can also pass a file to your Docker container that contains your credentials, and then you can configure S3, or you can configure Boto3 in your Python script. You can also you can also mount a file with your credentials that and that doesn't have to be inside your container. So basically you are going to make some sort of relationship between your container and your file and the files in your local machine. So when the container runs, then it will try to find the file that contains your credentials in your local machine.
Nice, thanks.
Okay, yeah, there are many possibilities, and I reckon that is one of the things that it's more worrisome, because you want to keep your sensible information private. And as soon as you start uploading Docker images or any sort of container, then you will have to somehow expose those credentials. So it's important that you understand that whatever you publish have to be hidden. I mean, any sensitive information that you publish have to be hidden. Cool. And you will see when you get to the CI/CD lesson, which is basically using GitHub, you can also set some GitHub secrets to keep these credentials hidden as well. But that's something that you will see eventually on the last lesson, actually, of this project. Cool. Now, let's take a look at the bucket and see if everything went fine. And yeah, probably we have this file here. Nice. That's working. That's working for now. Let's take a look at the SQL Alchemy. So import SQL Alchemy from SQL Alchemy create engine, and now engine is going to be create engine, blah 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 blah. And here I'm going to rely on the notebook because I know I repeat myself a lot, but my memory is not too good. So I'm just going to go to the notebook, take a look.
It's the first time you've said that tonight.
Yeah, right. I know. So it is in data engineering, data collection. No, sorry. SQL. Sorry. And notebook. Good. So let me just use this in here, because otherwise it will take me forever if I try to do this by hand. Okay, let me explain this a little bit. So basically, when you use SQL Alchemy, what you're going to do is creating an engine. That engine is going to connect your local machine, or in this case, your Python script with your database. Good thing about having an engine is that they are what is called lazy evaluators, or they work with a lazy evaluation. They are not going to do anything until you command it to do something. Otherwise, they are going to be, let's say, asleep. So it's not going to spend a lot of resources. It's going to be quite light in terms of resources. And another good thing about using engines is that they can take care of transforming your data types into something that it's readable by the SQL server, in this case Postgre. So if you have a dictionary, you can put that dictionary into SQL thanks to this engine. Cool. So here, let's define a couple of things here. So the database type is going to be PostgreSQL, which is the one that we define. Now, this database API, if you are going to use SQL Alchemy and Postgre, go with PsychoPT2, which is another library. Well, actually, it's going to be an API to connect Python with your database. And actually, SQL Alchemy is going to use PsychoPT behind the scenes to make the communication. But then, apart from that, the rest of the transformation of data, making sure that the engine is works using lazy evaluation, and everything that I explained earlier is going to be responsibility of the engine. Now, the host is something that we need to change, and we need to change it for the one that I used earlier. Cool. Now, user is going to be Postgre, password, well, database is going to be Postgres, and the password is the usual password that I go with the demos. Okay, now, if that worked, let's try that out. If that worked, this should work as well. So engine connect. Nice. Looks like we are, yeah, looks like it's going to work fine. It's not going to cause any trouble. So what I'm going to do now is just going to create a new table. I have it something here. I'm just going to create a new table from this library called sklearn. Probably you have already heard about sklearn. Don't worry, because I'm just using it to download a data set. But basically, sklearn is a machine learning library, and it has many data sets. I'm just going to use this because it's quite useful if you want to download some data samples. In this case, I'm just going to do that. And let's take a look at this content, by the way. So data. Yep, as you can see, it's basically an array. Oh, sorry, I actually don't want to do that. Actually, now here we go. I'm just going to convert. Of course, I need to import pandas. And there we go. Now, what I did was basically converting that dictionary into a pandas data frame. Okay, so basically we have a data frame. Let me remove head from here with 150 rows. Now I'm going to move this data frame into that database. And we can do that just by using a method from pandas, which is toSQL. So iris to SQL. And the first argument is going to be the name of the table that we want to use to store this data frame. Let's go with iris, for example. Then the second argument is going to be the engine that we have created to communicate with the database from Python. In this case, the name was engine. Yep, engine. And finally, this is optional. If that table already exists, what do we want to do? If it exists, I'm just going to append instead of replace. Good. Now the connection has been made. It sent the data to the database, and let's take a look now at the database. You can take a look at here, database, and I'm just going to refresh this. Cool. Where is this? Where is the table? Where is the table? Should be somewhere. I'm not sure where. Oh yeah, sorry, I needed to update it, of course. So yeah, now if we take a look at the public tables, there's new one table called Iris with all this information. You can use pgadmin to take a look at it, but good thing about, and this is one of the things I like about it, is that you can take a look at this content. If you click on the table, you will see the table here, and it will write, let's say that it will write the query for you. You don't have to worry about writing the query manually. So now here, instead of just limiting to 100, we can just select the whole table, and we will have like the 150 samples we saw earlier. Cool. So we already tested that everything works fine. Any question?
We have to do this. We have to import our data from from our project into this, or we can use also a default data sets from.
Yeah, I mean, you should use your data. You should use your data. That would be the idea. So you download some data, you upload that data, and then you don't have to store it on your local machine, because that takes a lot of space sometimes.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. More questions? I'm just opening this. Okay. Oh, case. In that case, let's go with the Zoopla sample, and I'm going to show you a couple of methods just to download some data and to upload them to your S3 bucket and to your RDS. So let's use script test IPYMB, and let's try to recap where we left last time. In this case, from scraper package, import scraper. And now, oh, sorry, actually we should import the whole class. Import scraper. I think there's something missing. Oh, sorry, scraper Zoopla, sorry. Scraper Zoopla. Now, bot is going to be equal to scraper Zoopla, and we are going to look something in London. Good. Let's take a look at the website and see if anything works fine now. God, same thing happened the other day. I need to call something, right? So it will be init and then script properties. Now you should accept cookies, you should write London. If everything went fine, click on London and then go to search. Good. All right, so that looks like it's working. I don't have to worry a lot about now changing the scraper the last minute. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of this because this is not still scraping anything. Just going to go with go to location And now that we are on the main page, just tell me if I'm doing something that doesn't make sense, something like that. Don't worry about interrupting me. I think we should have plenty of time today. Try to allocate as much time as possible. Cool. So once again, as always, let's just try to find the container. I'm just going to scrape one page today. You can extend the functionality of the scraper on your own. You probably already know how to do it actually. In my case, let's go with let's try to find the container, which will be a div tag whose class is equal to this thing here that I just copied. Okay, so find container. Okay, thank you. And the edge path will be equal to this. Oh, sorry. Need to put the whole edge path, I guess. So it was a div tag whose class was equal to that long stuff that I just wrote. Nice. It doesn't return anything, and it's going to use the super method that we already had here. Find container, and basically say find element. Nothing really fancy, but at least we know what we are looking for. Now that we have the container, we are today we are also going to struct the image. So let's take a look at how to do that. Let me inspect here. Once again, inspect. We have this image tag inside each div tag on each element in this long list. So cool. Let me just check role img. I'm just trying to find some sort of identifier that makes simple finding it. All right, that makes things simpler. Cool. So yeah, this is a container. Now each div tag in that container will belong to each one of these properties. So let's try to take a look at the first one. Let's try to infer how to get the image from all this long list. div. Looks like there's nothing really. div. Okay, so apparently we can use this div tag whose class is equal to CSS image center worker. Let me just check if the next image or the next property has the same class for the image. So CSS, and it finishes with is323. is323. Okay, sorry, here is327. Probably is not going to be the same. Or is it? Oh yeah, I think it's the same. Yep, it's the same. Cool. So looks like we can find a div tag with this. And then it should contain an image here if we keep going down and down and down. Oh gosh, there's so many stuff here. Come on, show me something. Here, all right, found it. All right, basically I need to go really deep until we find an AMG. Good. Okay, so I'm going to say find image, and I'm going to go with self, and then its path. Well, for now I'm not going to default. I'm not going to give any default value. So path from the image. Sorry, I'm going to actually send a container. Yeah. So this is going to accept two different arguments: edge path, the edge path corresponding to all the images, and the container that contains all the properties. So container dot find elements, then by edge path we're going to pass first. Actually, we need two div edge paths, so let's go with 1 and 2. First is going to be the outer div path. Which will be, which should be, all right, yeah, container, sorry, so list of div tags is going to be container dot find elements, just interrupt me if I'm going a little bit fast or you don't know what I'm doing. Please, I prefer you interrupt me rather than you ask me eventually what I did here. So please interrupt me if you feel like there's something that you don't understand. Basically here, I'm taking the container and I'm going to look for all the div direct children. Because if we take a look at the container, was here, all the direct children will be a div tag. Sorry, all the div direct children will correspond to a different property. So first we need to find all these div tags, and inside each div tag we need to find this one here. So actually, I think, sorry, I don't need this anymore now that I think about it. Okay, so once again, div whose class is going to be equal to that long thing you see there. Yeah, that's the edge path. Now containers complaining for some reason. Oh yeah, because I need to put this first. Cool. And so this is going to be the edge path. Okay, now for property in list div, I'm going to look for that edge path inside each property. So property find element by edge path, and the edge path will be relative to that property. Cool. And now, once we find that div tag, we need to keep digging a little bit more until we find an img, which should be here. So yeah, basically we need to extract this as rc attribute. So this is going to be, for example, image container. It's going to be equal to that, and now image container find element. Yep, it's not going to be direct, so we need to use 2 slashes and get attribute src. So src is going to be equal to that. Cool. Let's test a list if we can find the src. While this is running, make sure that you just ask any question that you have now. Find container and find image. I should actually name it find images. Probably this probably will need to be refactored because I'm finding the images and then I will find the data, which is not something very efficient because you can do both in the same way, in the same for loop. But this is going to be just a demo. So yep, let's see if this works. As I said, use this time while this is loading to ask any question. Nice, it's not working. Selector. Probably I need to put a time slip. Because it looks like it loaded too fast and it didn't have time to load the container. So let's put this to sleep and see what happens. Sleep in, find images. Of course. I forgot to pass the argument here. Nice. Now, let's see if this works. Okay, another error. Couldn't find img, which is strange. Because image container property find element by its path. Did it print some? Sorry, let me just run that one more time and see if it's a problem on the first time or the second time, or any other time we run through that loop, because sometimes it finds a div tag, just a special case in which it doesn't have these img or doesn't have any image at all. So yeah, looks like it's just throwing an error at the first loop, and the problem comes here. So let's check this img. Cool. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what's going on. If you have any idea on why this might happen, just shout it out, because sometimes I might miss just a few things. Just wondering if I can just div. This is a one, right? So if I keep digging, should end up here. But it doesn't find it. Probably I'm missing something. Okay, I'm just wondering if my worth, just using this one. So I just go with the while loop. Sorry. Well, just wondering why it doesn't find it. Can you guys see any error here? Listen, just going to change this. So instead of a div tag for these find images, I'm just going to go with this, and this is going to be the a tag, and you are going to be find elements by, yep, that's fine, data test ID. Ah, come on. Okay, let's oh no, I changed it. I didn't have to change it. I had to change this one. Let's see if this works. Otherwise, I'm going to change how to find it. Let's restart the kernel.
I think you had a double equals where you needed a single one.
Where is it? Sorry.
From the copy and paste. Yeah, on the scraper, line 150.
150.
Data test ID single equal.
Oh gosh. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Now that I think about it, I didn't restart the kernel when I put the print statement here. Maybe it wasn't the first one actually, but yeah. Thanks, Pete. Let's save it, restart it, and run. Okay, now once again, goes to London. All right, yeah, it's actually finding something. It looks like at the 5th item, it doesn't find it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I think this is the one actually. This is the one. Inspect. Yeah, I think we found the problem. So
Yeah, with the scroll bar, it looks like it's in like some kind of iframe itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it found something that it doesn't like the edge path of it, something like that. So maybe we need to be a little bit more specific when we define the edge path of the IP tags, because at least we can see that it found the first 4 elements. Let's take a look at this, and yeah, this is the image. So yeah, this is the same image, right? This is the same. Everything looks correct, but for some reason, it's not. It's complaining for one of those specific properties. So this is a container. Nice, and this worked. This worked. This worked. This worked. This worked. And yeah. This is the one. This is the one that is not working. Let's take a look at the image that it extracted. The last image that was extracted, and apparently, yeah, this one was extracted. Now the problem comes with this one. For some reason, I see it very, yeah, quite similar to the rest. But let's see what's going on. Let's see why this one is not accepted. We were trying to look for the A tag. Wait, what? Yeah. Oh, sorry. The first div tag is here, but inside the first div tag, we don't have the same. Oh, sorry, we have the same. Then after the div tag, what we are trying to look is this A tag. So let's try to find that A tag. It should be supposedly here. Let's keep digging. I mean, it's here. Listing, details, image, link. That's strange. It looks for all the DAVs, and then it will just try to look for the edge path inside those DAV tags.
Don't know if it was just me, but when you opened it, or when it was open earlier, there was a listing that had advertisement on it, which doesn't seem to be there now. So I'm wondering if the advertisement's gone.
Okay, that can be a good reason. Let's take a look. Thanks, Adam. Let's see now what happens with all the properties, because we are not scrolling down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's looking. Yeah, it looks like this one. It's an advertisement.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Yes. Why are you here? What can I do to avoid that one? What can I do? Okay, yeah, it takes actually a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I can see that. So we have here. Okay, listing. Cool. Yes, all right. So basically it's taking this div tag is basically taking two of them. As you can see, here is highlighting two of them. So maybe maybe we need to only find those div tag whose data test ID is equal to search result. Right? You see what I'm doing here, or you see what I mean? Because this wait, what's the ad? Oh yeah, here it is. This ad, as you can see, doesn't have this data test ID search result. It has only hide this class here, but the data test ID is not even available here. So whenever it tries to look for something here with the same tags that we defined, so with the same edge path we defined, it throws an error. So instead of just looking for the direct children whose tag is div, we can find any children whose class, sorry, whose what was it? Whose data test ID is equal to search result. Any question on that? All clear? Oh, sorry, that shouldn't be, that's actually not the one that I have to replace. It should be this one. Here, data test ID equal to that. Now, let's give another shot at it. Okay, 10 minutes to go. I think I should have time. If it works now, I should have time for the rest of the, didn't work again. Oh, all right, that's basically because I didn't restart the kernel. Okay, no, same error. IMG. Well, I'm just going to pass this error. I'm not sure how to solve it now because probably it's something just with this ad, and right now we'll need to check that a little bit more thoroughly. But so what I'm going to do instead of this, I'm just going to return src, and I'm going to tell it to just iterate through the first 4 elements. That way I know it won't throw an error. That should work. And now once we have those elements, we can create a new method called upload images, which will take self, and then it will take src. Now we have these upload images and it will take self. So we can create the engine on the initializer, on the constructor. So I'm going to import first Virtual3, and then from SQL Alchemy, I'm going to import create engine. So when we construct, when we initialize our scraper, we're just going to initialize our engine and put that in self, which is going to be equal to create engine. In this case, going to use the same connection I have here. Oh, there we go. And let's paste it here. By the way, I'm doing this because I'm not going to upload it to GitHub. But if you have some sort of information, some sensible information about your database, don't put it here. Put it on a secret file, something like that, JSON file, YAML file, and put that information there. Don't put your passwords or your connections inside something that you are going to upload to GitHub. Cool. Now,
Too late.
Yep.
Too late, I'll say.
Well, don't worry. I mean, if it's
I'll
a
change it.
database, if it's a database, it's not going to be a huge deal. Usually you can just change the inbound rules, so you can make sure that no one else apart from you connects to the database. But just in case.
Yeah.
Be safe and sorry. Cool. So we have the engine. Now let's define the client, S3 bucket, and just like that, we will get access to the S3 bucket and the RDS. So we have here our list of URLs that contains the images that we can download. So sorry, let me check if I have imported. Nope, I need to import URL lib request open. I think well, no, I'm just going to put it like that. URL request, and that library will allow us to download images given the URL of that corresponding image. So the first thing that we need to do is downloading the image, but we don't want to store that image on our local machine. We want to download it, upload it, and remove that file. So the first thing that we are going to do is going to create a temporary directory. So with I need to import another library, which is temp file. And temp file will allow us to create temporary directories. A temporary directory will be a folder that you will create, and as soon as you finish managing that folder, you will remove that folder from your local machine. So anything inside it will be also removed. And we can just put all the images that we are going to download inside that folder. And as soon as we finish with all our operations, we can just delete that folder, and it won't take space on our computer. So temp file dot temporary directory. Okay. Okay, this is going to be a context manager. So it would be a good idea to give this temporary directory a name that we are going to use inside the context manager. So I'm going to use URL lib request, URL retrieve, then source, and then the name of the temporary directory plus the name of the name that we want to give to that image. But as you know, src is going to be a list, so we need to iterate through that list. So for I in range of length of src. Cool. Now this is going to download it, but now we need to import it and we need to upload it. So instead of that, I don't like that. Just going to put it like this. Cool. So yeah, this temporary directory is going to be given a random name by Python. So since we are not going to be able to know it beforehand, we can just use this placeholder. So this will look like temporary directory plus the name of the image. And for example, it will be a random name, and inside the random folder that is going to be created, we're going to store this image. So for example, image underscore, and then the number of that iteration. So it will be image 1, image 2, image 3. Well, actually image 0, image 1, image 2. Once we download it, we are going to upload it using our client and the method upload file. So it will be temporary directory, their name. Well, yeah, just like that. And in this case, the name of the bucket was March bucket test. Okay, so this should work fine, I guess. Let's give it another go. Okay, so this is going to be src. And now with now that we have the list of URLs of the images that we want to download, we're just going to put that into this method. So bot upload images src. Let's see if this doesn't throw any error. Yeah. Well, the bad things, as you probably know, is that there are many errors. Oh, wait, what? And no URL type H. What did I pass?
I think you're missing a / from the directory name.
Okay, makes sense. Let me just check if the src variables are looking fine. src should be a list. What am I passing? What am I passing? Of course, I'm just passing. So, yeah, I'm just passing a string. Right now I'm passing a string. So basically it will iterate through all the letters in the string. I need to put src list. It's going to be an empty list. And now we are going to append that. We are going to return this. Oh, so many errors. But yeah, what was it? Plus, yeah. Nice. Restart and run. Well, don't worry because I still have like 15 minutes before the next demo, just to finish all of this. Because we still need to upload some information to these to the RDS bucket. Oh, that was quick actually. I look surprised, and that's because I'm surprised. Nice. Now we have 4 new images, which probably we can't use from here. We need to download it using this download button because basically the bucket's not public. But once downloaded, let's take a look at it. And nice. All right, it's working fine. So we have stored the images inside our S3 bucket. Now we have this. We have the images, but we don't have a way to associate them with a property. That's not very efficient because what if we want to use this image for corresponding, well, with its corresponding data? Okay, so maybe we can just instead of downloading it and call it image JPG, what we can do here will be, this is not very efficient. You can just tweak it a little bit. What I'm going to do is assign a different UID to the name of that image. So import UID, and here whenever we loop, we're going to name each image with a new UID. So new ID is going to be UID.4. And here, just going to call it new ID. And this one will be also new ID. Same here. Just gonna call it with the same name in the bucket. New ID, and we need a way to store those IDs inside well, yeah, basically we need to store those IDs to eventually associate them with the property. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. First, we are just getting the information about the property, well, sorry, the image about the property, but we will actually get the link for that property as well as the image. And then once we get the link, then we can just download the information. Just to make it simple, what I'm going to do now is just going to extract the price of each property. I'm not going to bother now extracting the rest of the information because we are running out of time. So what I'm going to do now, just extract the price for each of these properties. Inspect, and okay, so looks like this is going to be the price. This class here, let's compare it with the next one. So let me just copy this just in case, and I'm going to compare it now. If we take a look at this one, and copy that and paste it, I will say they are the same, right? Yes, they are the same. So we found ourselves the price of it. Okay, good. So now define find price, and the container is going to be the same container, but now the it's going to be a p tag whose class is going to be equal to that. So let's replace this, and it's not going to be a span, it will be p. Okay, so we have a container. We can do something similar as here. Cool, but we don't need this. We just need a list that will contain the prices. And oh no, sorry, actually I needed that one, sorry. Let me just check one thing before moving on. Basically, I'm just trying to look if the div tag that I put here can will also contain this p tag. Let's take a look. Well, let's take a look. Data search result. It should contain it, but just in case. Oh, sorry, I opened that. Inspect, and now Control F, Control V, search result. Well, so many things. Cool. I mean, it should contain it. Yeah, it should contain it, because if I hover it, it looks like that price is inside this container. So yes. Yeah. Oh no, it's actually not inside. Dang it. It's it will be here probably. div, yes. So need to find this one. It's a little bit annoying. Having to change all the time everything. Cool, div, and now inside it we can find the p tag. So find element. Cool. And inside it we are just going to get the price. Nice. So this is going to be the price once again. And okay, cool. I guess that should work. Control S. Sorry, find price. Prices is going to be equal to both from price, container is equal to container, restart, and play. All right, once again, goes to London, search for all the properties in London. Now it's going to find the images, and from the same container, it will try to find, yeah, it looks like it worked. Probably it's not going to show me what I wanted because I forgot to put something here. Who can tell me what I'm missing?
Dot text.
Exactly. Thank you. So dot text. Oops. There you go. Cool. So we have the prices, we have the images, but yeah, we have the images with an ID, but still we need to provide an ID for the image, and we need to provide an ID for the property. So let's see. Let's take a look now. Well, here, when we upload the image, we are also going to return a list with all the 4 UIDs that we generated for each image. So going to create an empty list. ID list is going to be equal to an empty list and ID list dot append new ID. Now return ID list. Okay, so basically at each loop, I'm generating a new ID, and then I'm going to return the list of new IDs that and each one will correspond to a different new image. Same here. We have a list of prices, but actually we actually want to assign one of these prices to a different property. So once again, what we can do is for price in price list, we're going to iterate through all this list, through all the elements in this list, and I'm going to assign a new ID to that price. So let's create a new dictionary. So property dictionary, and the first key will be UID, which is going to be an empty list, and the price also is going to be an empty list for now. Cool. So I'm going to iterate through it, and all right, looking good. Dictionary. I'm going to return that. And I think I'm not missing anything. Cool. As I said, this is not very efficient. Well, I would say this is not efficient at all, because I'm doing like 2 different for loops for extracting information that I could just extract with a single for loop. But I'm just trying to separate images from data. So next time that you have to do all of this, you know more or less how to do it. So yeah, now we have an UID, well, a list of UUIDs and their corresponding prices. Now, on the other hand, we also have images. It was images? No, it was SRC. SRC. Good. So we have also a list of SRCs. So what we can do with this prices dictionary will be appending or creating a new key, which will be images, which is going to be equal basically to this here. And now if we take a look at prices, we have a dictionary with 3 keys: UID, the price, and the corresponding image. So we know that the property corresponding to this ID will correspond to the first image, and the second will correspond to the second image, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have this dictionary. Let's transform this into a pandas data frame. So, and ideally you will have to do this in a single method, but once again, we're running out of time. So I'm going to do that outside, but yeah, it's going to be just a couple of lines. It's not going to be difficult to implement this into a method. So import pandas as PD. And now prices is going to, now I'm going to convert that, for example, let's say df properties. I'm going to convert that dictionary into a pandas data frame. So pt dot data frame, and I'm just going to pass prices. Let's take a look at df properties, and there we go. Now we have a pandas data frame with the necessary information. And as I mentioned earlier, we can just use the engine So I'm going to use the engine that I created with bot.engine. And now I'm going to say, oh, sorry. Actually, it will be different. So now that we have this pandas data frame, we can transform that, or we can set that to SQL. So to SQL, the first argument is going to be the name of the table. So let's say properties, and the engine. Oh, sorry, con is going to be bot.engine. And if that table already existed, let's just append the latest images. Sorry, the latest samples. Cool. I think that worked. Let's take a look at the database. Yes, new table appeared. Let's take a look at this content, and we have the images, the price, and the UID. Cool. Now, what can we do? Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky, because what can we do if we don't want to rescrape the same thing? The UID has been generated without taking into account the website. So one idea, for example, will be taking into account the ID that the same website has for it. So if you take a look at well, this one here, can you see that it has a search identifier and then it has a long string? You can use that to see if you already scraped it. So once again, we're here. And let me check. Yeah, what we can do here is add some, sorry, let me check. Instead of just modifying the method, I'm just going to do something very quick. Nope. I will have to rescrape the whole thing, but now I'm also going to extract that identifier, that friendly identifier. So let's see here, this. Well, in this case, you can see that the H reference is going to be for sale details 6092 blah blah blah. We can use that one as well. Actually, we click on it, it will just take us to this website, to this URL, and we can use this number to check if we already scraped this or not. So let's do that. Let's test data ID, and this is contained inside this style content, which I think the same one that we have here. Cool, nice. So price list is going to be that, and friendly. And sorry, I know we're past the time, but I just wanted to cover this last part because I know, Pete, you were asking about how to make sure that you're not going to scrape something different. So that's why I'm also trying to do this. So inside that, we are going to look for an A tag whose data test ID is going to be that. So let me change the name of it. Friendly ID list. Now friendly ID is going to be equal to property dot. Yep. Sorry. Is there any question? Nope. Okay. Agent logo. I think that's not the one that I'm looking for, actually. This is the logo. It should be this one, sorry. Yes. Cool. Should be this one. Good. Get reference, and well, actually it will be the href. No. And from the href, if we take a look at it, we can see that the identifier will be between two slashes. So let's take that number. So friendly ID is going to be equal to that one, split, and take the, not the last one, -2. So basically, if we have, let me just show you an example here. If we have that href and we split it using slashes, this is what we have. So we actually need to take this one here. So -2. Okay, make sense? That's basically what we are doing here. So now let's append that. And let's add a new key. So friendly ID, property ticked, friendly ID. Oh no, don't append the whole thing, please. Okay. Yeah, this is not efficient at all. I'm just trying to code everything on the fly, and I realizing that I'm making a lot of rookie mistakes. Len, sorry, range of length of that, and this is going to be here. I'm going to append price. I'm going to append price list at the ith index, and same goes for the friendly ID. I could use zip, I could use all the methods. In this case, I was just trying to rust thing, and this is not efficient at all, but it will do the job. Cool. Now, this will give us, instead of a dictionary with 2 single keys, it will give us a dictionary with 3 different keys. Then we are going to append a new key for images. And finally, we are going to move that into our database. Okay. That was fast. That was quite quick. Yep. So, oh, sorry, I actually delete something that I shouldn't delete it. There we go. Now let's take a look at prices again. Okay. Nah, I forgot something here. Friendly ID list. The second time it happened today. Okay, sorry guys. I know I should have finished like 5 minutes ago, or actually 20 minutes ago. But now I'm about to finish, and I'm going to tell you the next step in case you don't want to rescrape something from scratch. You don't want to rescrape the same sample. Did I restart? Yes. What's going on here now? Sorry, guys. Now this will work. I'm like 70% confident. That's not too much, but something. All right. Fingers crossed. Good. So now we have the friendly identifier that we can use next time we scrape this Zoopla. Properties append. Oh yeah, right. Let's change the name because I'm trying to append it on a database that doesn't contain that new column that I just added. We take a look again at no properties 2. Here it is. So next time you need to scrape this, what you can do, since you already have the engine, and now we are getting to the interesting part, will be say that self.df is going to be pandas read, sorry, from sorry, it should be okay, import pandas as pt. Good. And now from pandas I'm going to not going to read SQL from query. I'm going to simply read SQL from the table. So now I'm going to select a table. The table is named properties 2. And I'm going to use the self.engine. Cool. So now this df will contain data about about the scraper, sorry, about the properties that I've already scraped. But just to be a little bit more specific, let's go with self. Well, actually, going to take self df, and I'm going to take the user, the friendly ID. It was named just like this, friendly ID. Here, friendly ID. So self.friendly ID going to be equal to that. And I'm going to put that into a list. So can you see what I want to do with this? I already have the friendly IDs that I already scraped. So next time I go to this method, what it is here. Next time I have to go through this. The first thing that I can do is, okay, so this one here, for example, friendly ID is going to be that. Now, if that friendly ID is in self.friendly ID, that was the name that I gave. What was the name that I gave? Probably I should change it. Friendly ID scrape. Let's say scrape, for example. So that way we know that this is actually the list that we already scraped beforehand. So friendly ID scraper. If now the new friendly ID that we are about to scrape is inside that list, then just continue. But if it's not, then do all of this. Was
it self.friendly ID scraped with a D?
Oh, thank you.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That will save a little bit of time. And let's put this here. Cool. All right. So let's restart this. Probably I'm not going to do a lot now. It's not going to be able to scrape a lot because maybe just a new one property. Just one new property will appear now. What's going on? Yeah. Okay. Href reference before assignment. Something that I missed here. What is href? Href here. Href. Wait. What am I defining the href? Oh, sorry. Of course. Here. Now let's restart this. Okay. Cool. So now it's going to start scraping some data again for the 1000th time this demo. And should work fine. Cool. So let's take a look at the new process. As you know, it should scrape only 4 elements. Let's see if it scraped 4 new elements. To be honest, probably no. Actually, it just scraped 3, as you can see. One of them has been skipped, and I don't know, probably this one. Doesn't matter. You knew that we were supposed to scrape 4 elements, and now we are only scraping 3. That's because we already had information about the 4th one. I guess it was the 4th one. Prices, what's going on? All arrays must have the same length. What do you mean? Right. I need to get only the 3 first, because we are only finding 3, and the images, I didn't code the images to avoid those. Sorry, not to avoid, to ignore those properties that were already scraped. But you can implement that here as well. Just put them into a single method, and you will be fine. Cool. So now that should do it, and that should do it. So we are just appending. If we take a look again at property 2, now we have 7 items, and as you can see, I'm not scraping any repeated property. Wait, what the hell is this? 20 millions? Wow. Sorry. Anyway, any question? I know it took me a lot of time, but I really wanted to go through a lot of samples with you. I hope now it's quite more clear. The idea behind it is that you find an UID just for yourself, another friendly ID, or something that you know that will be some sort of ID on the website, so you don't re-scrape the same data. And once again, no, I repeated this a lot. This is very inefficient. I did it on the fly. I couldn't think about how to make it efficiently, but as you can see, it works. And the only thing that you need to take into account is that that's something that you need to consider in order not to re-scrape the same data twice. Cool. And yeah, let's just finish off. Let's take a look at the bucket. And as we can see, we have 33 elements, probably because of all the reruns that I made. But as you can see, all of these IDs should be stored here as well. Wait. Well, instead of images, I should have appended the UID. But yeah. I return upload images. Yeah, the output of this method will be the one giving you the UIDs. In this case, my mistake, I appended the link for the images, but you can always change that. Okay, any question?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. And yeah, sorry about taking so much time for explaining this. And yeah, so many reruns. That was a lot of mistakes, but I hope you found this useful.
So did I hear you say earlier that you were jumping from here tomorrow, jumping off from this point tomorrow, to then start to containerize?
Oh no, that will be for next week. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry. I mean, I don't expect you to do all of this in one day. You have this week just to play around a little bit with cloud before next week, in which we will containerize and start playing a little bit around with Docker.
Will you be going into a little bit more detail on some of the methods with AWS, with the S3, with Botto 3 and etc. So some of the things that we can do with it.
We can actually do that tomorrow. I mean, for this project, the only thing that you will need probably will be upload images and download images. But if you have any question, we can go through that tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Cool, no worries. Okay, well, sorry, if you have any other question, just leave that for tomorrow because we have a Q&A session tomorrow. So any question related to this part of the project or any part whatsoever, just leave them for tomorrow because yeah, there are some people here waiting that have been waiting for 15 minutes. Really sorry, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
How do I stop this? Do, 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 do.